And we are live. Hello, hello. 2 people in the house, 0 likes. Four minutes till the live officially starts. What's up, Eddie? How are you? There's Jesse. How are you tonight, Jesse? Good. What's up, Mr. September? How are you, buddy? What's up, Pete North? How are you? Bigfoot are incredibly strong. That's how he did it. What's up, Jesse? Good. I am doing well as well. Puma Pete, what's going on, my brother? Oh, I've been counting the days too. This is a good retreat. Good retreat tonight. I got some bangers of lot lizard stories for you kids tonight. Troy, what's going on? How are you this evening? What's up, Kimberly Flores? How are you, dear? Frank Morris. There's Neck. There's Pops. How are you? Alyssa, how are you, dear? Grace's Everyday Channel. How are you, Sean B? Aramek! Sharon Williams. Pups, I have a crawler experience for you out of Utah. Aramek, how you been, brother? Big John. Big John. Big John. Big John. Ben Sellers. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Michael, how are you, bud? Oh, good for you, brother. Good for you. Thank you, Ben. Aramek, you know that's all I care about is, dude, what about Zilla's picture that he emailed you today, huh? The little fucking caterpillar that could. Poppy from Sweden, how are you? How is Sweden tonight? And in 2 minutes, it will be Easter, so. That's crazy, Eddie. That is crazy. Well, Andrew, Anton LaVey has some stuff in some of his writings on how to morph or transform into a werewolf. I don't think physicality that he can. Probably a poltergeist or a spirit, if my best guess would be. Because at the Conjuring House, when me and my daughter were at the Conjuring House, there was a lot of scratching going on as well. Alligator. What's up, Jamie? Welcome to the live. Speaking of which, I messaged Jane tonight. I want to make sure she's all right. Oh, no. Not to worry. Janie is going to be here tonight, kids. Our godmother of the channel will be here. And his house, his faith and repentance, his blue house in New York was burned down as well around that time. Susan from Jersey. How are you? Yeah, usually most movies containing werewolves blow ass. Wesley, I would just. What's up, Red Cardinal? There, Wolf. How are you? What's up, Grandma Sasquatch? I know you're not a Sasquatch, but you're a Sasquatch and Grandma. Tommy, how are you? Dustin, what's going on, buddy? Celio, how are you? Colleen? Mert, how are you, Mert? What's up, Tyler 420? I don't see Jane. Where the hell is she? How come I don't see her? There she is. There she is. How are you, dear? There's my channel's godmother. Love that love. How are you? There's John Sumner. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Easter. I have a one St. Louis experience right in the heart of the city as well. I haven't heard that one though. All the surgery was worth it. Good stuff, Mert. Good stuff. Erica Danforth, how are you? Tony Glover, San Francisco Treats. What's up, buddy? Tammy Blair, how are you? Jacob Hillard. What's up, Steve? Oh. Thomas, how are you, buddy? I'm doing well. Janie, you have been missed. You have no idea how much everybody missed you. It is just a pleasure to see you back. JT, what's going on? Thank you, Aramic. Thank you. I have to get some time together to I wish the studio downstairs was a little different. I wish I had a window next. Shalom, Peter, how are you? I wish I had a window by the desk down there. Otherwise I'd do everything down there because I like it so much better down there because this is very small. This is only this is about the size of a jail cell, I guess. I mean, it's I don't even think it's 6 feet. Let's pull out the trusty wiener measurer. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 feet across by maybe 10 feet deep. Thanks, Tony. Little bit of G.G. Allen never hurt anybody. Janie, and I'm so sorry for that. All right, so how do you want to start tonight off? Would you like a lot lizard story to start the night off with, or a cryptid experience? I've got quite a good variety of experiences tonight for you guys. What's up, Tim? I do have a crawler. Lot lizard, cryptid. Cryptid, lot lizard, it's about the same. It's about tie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about tie. What's up, Marty? Motorboat. I said hi to you, Claire. I said hi already. All right, so we'll start the night off with this one goes out to Pups because Pups has been dying for a crawler experience, and it's from her home state of Utah. So, pups, this one is for you. Yes, I did, alligator. I thanked you that night at the live when you sent it. What's up, Jimmy? How are you, brother? Happy Easter to you, Jimmy. All right, here we go. This one is for you, pups. This incident occurred about 7 years ago when I was in my late teens on a muzzle-loading mule deer hunt in the far northeastern part of Utah. This area contains some of the most remote places in the state. I've been frequently out in this area, spreading in Summit County that cuts in and out of lower Wyoming since before I can remember, including lots of hiking, backpacking, camping, hunting, and being involved in some of my granddad's work. I am skeptical of things not proven by methods of science, but I don't deny all of those things. I find that it's impossible for science to know all that is out there in this vast world. My granddad was recently retired biologist and former conservation officer for the state, and was a regional specialist and was over wildlife habitat management for many years. He did everything from habitat management programs to quite literally wrangling moose to be transplanted and darting black bear. He has seen mountain lion, bear, birds of all kinds, small mammals, plants, and natural phenomena for the majority of his life. And he understands so much that many people, including myself, will never be able to imagine. He is scientific, honest, straightforward, level-headed. He's agnostic and is not superstitious, and often used to tease a certain CEO who thinks Bigfoot, skinwalkers, and other beings exist. Other than this experience, he has never encountered an animal that he could not at least partially identify. And other than the natural innate fear of being in close quarters with a bear, drunken and belligerent hunter, or incredibly potent tranquilizer medication, he has told me over and over he has never been terrified of an animal or experience like this, only curious or surprised. It was late September, and we were in a small camp by the lake in the high Uinta Mountains, hunting both grouse and mule deer with muzzle loaders. The camp was a small collection of men and women my granddad had worked with over the years as a supervisor, biologist, CO, and these were people I had grown up with. One of the women, a new wife to one of the guys, had shot a buck deer, injuring but not killing it immediately, and they lost track of it. Devastated by the thought of wasting the animal, she returned to camp in the afternoon upset and concerned that the deer had run into an even more secluded area of the mountain, which was hard to reach from the trail that she had shot it from. It was a place my granddad was familiar with because it was such a pain to get to, with lots of deadfall and steep terrain. We volunteered to go in the late afternoon to search for this deer, following a scant blood trail that she had tracked for a while before getting fatigued and intimidated by the terrain. Because both my granddad and I are in pretty good shape, and he is familiar with the area, it didn't seem like a big deal. Before we left, she mentioned hearing what she assumed were coyote, which made her even more concerned that if the deer had died, it would ruin the meat and hide before she could harvest it. We took off early evening, expecting to get back within an hour or two after searching and having our guns with us, in case we found an animal still alive or came across another buck worth trying to harvest. It was steep in places with lots and lots of deadfall of varying heights, making the hike slower and more tedious than we had hoped, making us understand other hunters' fatigue. She had marked the blood trail with bright orange pieces on the trees, which we followed for 20 minutes, and then it was hard to track. The sun was getting close to setting at this point, and we knew getting out would be just as long as getting in. We had just about decided to stop when we found the spot near a fallen tree that looked like it had been recently bedded down in, followed by splatters of fairly fresh blood, and we continued for longer. When the sun had just about set and the light was fading into the trees, we removed the firing caps from our guns to make them now completely safe, as it is now illegal and irresponsible to hunt with such an absence of decent light. My granddad pulled out his large mag flashlight from his pack, and I put on my headlamp and began to hike, using our GPS to find the trailhead. About 10 minutes on our way back, we started to hear more movement along the trees. It was normal for animals to start moving now that the sun had gone down, as animals would likely be starting to head towards clearings for water or to graze in the safety of the lower light. Small and distant sounds of crunching leaves, pattering of hooves of animals, and small bits of movement in the trees from squirrels or birds were common and expected. We didn't expect the deafening, disturbing sound we heard next, which vaguely and initially reminded me of a coyote howl. But a few seconds into this unidentifiable, frightening and human-like, it started with what sounded like a person screaming, and then got louder and more intense with a screech to it, so unlike any coyote or any other animal we have ever heard. Then was almost chittering that came in between the shrieks. Aramaic! Thank you, buddy! Came in between the shrieks, and the movement of the trees becoming almost calculated, almost threatening. We stopped dead in our tracks, frozen, as my granddad started to use the light to look around. I was far more freaked out than he was at this point. He just seemed perplexed and curious and a little baffled at what could be making the sound. It sounded human, but with no words, with no urge or tone of help, or I'm just screaming to mess with you. We continued on after it mostly stopped, and it seemed like the other natural and distant sounds had gone almost silent. I listened intently to the sound of my boots crunching on the dry aspen under my foot, trying to tell myself that it was just some weird coyote with horribly deformed larynx or something. 20 minutes from the main trail that would lead us back to the truck, we heard the chittering sound again, and the sounds of the thumping against dead trees. Looking around with our lights in between the deadfall, maybe 12 to 15 feet in front of us, was a large human-like thing. It was almost hunched down with a long, slender arm around the front of the standing aspen. The aspen, of course, was pale white with knots being brown, and whatever it was had skin almost as pale. I caught a very brief glimpse of its face. It seemed round, and its eyes seemed sunken, and I could not tell the color of its eyes other than a flash of reflection from the eye from my light, and that its face seemed sunken and emaciated. I didn't see any fur or hair. I never felt like it looked right at me. More at my granddad, and just in our direction, also almost confused and curious, like it was before with the sound. For a mere couple of seconds, I caught a glimpse of it, but that was it. I looked down at the ground, holding my eyes shut tight, trying to imagine being safe and secure in the truck, and my granddad took a few stumbling steps backward toward me. I heard the thing go off to our side, moving quickly and with purpose through the trees to the side, and then dropped down behind us. I would assume, according to the sound, but I hope it went in the opposite direction. My granddad turned to where it had veered off, as to follow it, but he soon stopped and looked at me. I had never before and never since seen him so confused, baffled, horrified, curious, and in awe. I was crying at this point, ugly crying, trying to muffle my shaking breath and voice, and I asked him what it was. Over and over I asked, and he had no answer for me. He pulled his gun off his shoulder and put the cap back on the nipple of the igniter, making the gun live, and he then carried it in front of his body in his arm. He pulled out another headlight to put on for himself. We started walking again toward the trail as he listed off as like talking to himself as what it was not. Things like couldn't have been a deer or an elk or a moose. It had arms. It was hunched. It stood upright. or a bear, a very sick bear. It couldn't have been a bear. It was light. We heard the sound, the screeching human howl, distantly once more before reaching the trail, which was dirt and gravel but fairly flat, with no deadfall. We practically jogged to the truck. I locked the doors immediately and sobbed, and my granddad turned on the music as loud as possible to try to distract me on the way back to camp. I was a mess when we arrived back, and he went and talked with the others by the fire. When he got me settled into my sleeping bag in my bunk, he explained some to his friends, but I don't know what all was said. The next day, everyone was definitely extra sweet to me, trying to comfort me and saying that it was probably a sick animal that looked very scary in the dark. The deer the hunter shot was found the next day in the light, scavenged quite harshly by what we assume was coyotes. To this day, we have no clue what that was, nor what that sound was. And before and since, I have heard both coyote and many other animal sounds, and never even compared to this sound. The scientist in me and in him, the hopeful and blissfully ignorant people in us, hope and speculate it was just a deformed, sick animal in scant light. But I still have no clue of what that thing was, and I hope I never, ever experience it again. That chittering sound, that's like the most terrifying sound I think anyone could ever hear in the woods would be that chittering. There's that one story where the kid is camping. He's camping with his friend's family, and I think they're in like New Mexico or something. And they're like, they got their campfire. Their tents are set a little back further than their parent or the kids' parents. And they're in a camper, and their tents are a distance away, and they hear this chittering sound, and then they hear chittering on the other side of them, and then they hear it kind of meet up, and then they hear like an aggressive, like kind of back and forth between the two, and then they just take off. Can you imagine how fucking terrifying that would be? What's up, Ginger? How are you, buddy? Christy, how are you? You're welcome. You're welcome, Pops. Aramic, thank you for the 10 members. I appreciate you. You know I do, brother. Brandy Boone, how are you? SDL. Gavin Rogers, how are you? And thank you very much. Almost like a cat's fur. What's up, J Channel? Hey, Amanda. Amanda Crazy Life Channel. Honestly, I have no idea, Eddie. I wouldn't even try to be honest with you. I mean, in the Montauk experience they did with the Montauk chair and clairvoyance and stuff like that. Well, I'm glad that you're here with us too, Brandy. What's up, Record Girl? How are you? Cynthia, howdy from LA. Johnny Ohm, what's going on? Tim, what's up, Tim? Tim's late. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Daryl? Six String Swords. How is Puerto Rico today? Is it warm? What time is it in Puerto Rico? Like, is it midnight there? Is it midnight in Puerto Rico? It's right off the coast. Like, wouldn't it be midnight? Rainy? My maid finally came over and cleaned for me for the first time in almost a year. Okay, so you're on the same time frame that we are, yeah. Brant, how are you? Brent. I don't know why I fucking called you Brant. The 78 there. It was actually kind of muggy here. Spaghetti guy, how are you? 94 days with no cigarettes. Congratulations. I couldn't go 94 seconds without a hit of my Juul, to be honest with you. What's up, Cat Mom? Lake 17. You are good. You are good, Eddie. Remember, this is all theory. There are no experts. There are no experts in the field of cryptozoology or paranormal research. They're like, no matter what. There's like, I learned so much shit every day from everybody. And I've been researching since I was 17. Not like full on, but for the last 10 years full on. So Aramic is, I lied, Eddie. Aramic is the official expert on Mothman. He actually, I probably shouldn't say this just in case the government is watching, but Aramic actually has a female Mothman locked in his basement in a cage with pink fluffy handcuffs, I've heard. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He knows everything about everything, doesn't he? 6 strings. I heard every once in a while, Aramic likes to switch it up, though. So he lets Mothra run the show every once in a while. So he gets the pink fuzzy cuffs on, and Mothra does the old pegging. I'm sorry, Aramic. I had to say it. I had to. You just left yourself wide open for that. No pun intended. Just kidding. All right. We're going to do a lot lizard story, and then we're going to jump into some more experiences. I got some really good Dogman. I got some really good, just some really cool experiences for you. So, yeah, you didn't know that it's Mothra is her name. And every once in a while they play bingo. All right, here we go. William Menendez, thank you. Lot Lizard stories are the only fictional stories on the channel. This is for entertainment for all of us. Why do we only have 99 likes and 235 people? And that is terrible. That ratio is harsh. All right, here we go. The shimmering heat rising off the asphalt made Lizzo's sequenced halter top cling uncomfortably. She fanned herself with a tattered copy of Truckers Monthly. The scent of diesel and desperation thick in the air. Lizzo wasn't just any lot lizard. She was the lot lizard of I-95 truck stop, a beacon of questionable glamour in the sea of chrome and loneliness. And she was head over heels for Earl. Earl was a legend, the king of the road with a smile that could melt asphalt and a gut that rivaled the size of his rig. He hauled produce from Florida to Maine and back again, and every Tuesday night, like clockwork, he'd pull into the I-95, order a slice of Flo's famous pecan pie, and wink at Lizzo. That wink, that greasy, sugary, sweet wink, was enough to keep her going through the week of demanding truckers and questionable hygiene. The problem was Flo. Flo, with her hair perpetually in a greasy bun and a heartland smile that could curdle milk, was Earl's wife. Lizzo knew it was wrong. She knew it was probably illegal in at least 3 states, but she couldn't help but feel that she and Earl were meant to be. They had so much in common. They both liked American cheese singles, truck stop coffee, and the soulful crooning of Kenny Rogers. Flo, on the other hand, she just seemed bland. One particularly sweltering Tuesday, as Earl devoured his pecan pie, his eyes met Lizzo across the greasy diner. A sparkle ignited in her soul, a spark of something dark and desperate. She watched Flo wiping down the counter with a perpetually damp rag, and an idea as audacious as it was insane began to form. Later that evening, as the moon hung fat and low in the sky, Lizzo found Flo behind the diner taking the trash out. "Flo, honey," Lizzo cooed, her voice dripping with a false sweetness. "Earl's been saying things about how you're holding him back, how he needs a woman who understands the road." Flo's brow furrowed. Her grip tightened on that trash bag. "What are you talking about, Lizzo?" Lizzo stepped closer, her voice a mesmerizing whisper. "He's tired of the pecan pie, Flo. He wants something spicier." Flo opened her mouth to respond, but Lizzo didn't give her a chance. It all happened so fast. 1 minute, Flo was standing there confused and bewildered. The next, Lizzo, fueled by a potent cocktail of desperation and truck stop amphetamines, had wrestled Flo to the ground. Now, Lizzo was not a small woman. Years of indulging in the truck stop delicacies had blessed her with a formidable physique. And Flo, bless her heart, was about as threatening as a damp dish rag. In a twisted, almost cartoonish struggle, Lizzo subdued Flo. And that's when things got messy. The details are best left to the imagination, but let's just say Lizzo, in that deranged attempt to eliminate the competition, became the number one woman in Earl's life. Took the phrase, "eat your heart out," to a whole new level. The next Tuesday, Earl lumbered into I-95 truck stop, his usual jovial self. He ordered his pecan pie, and little sad that Flo wasn't the one serving him, and glanced over for Lizzo. She emerged from the shadows, her sequence top a little more askew than usual, her eyes a little too bright. "Earl, honey," she purred, sliding into the booth beside him. "Flo won't be bothering you anymore." Earl frowned, his brow furrowed with concern. "What do you mean, Lizzo? Where is she?" Lizzo leaned in close, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. "Let's just say she's part of me now, all of me. And now, Earl, we can finally be together." Earl stared at Lizzo, his face drained of color. He looked at her with a confusion that quickly morphed into horror as he realized the meaning of her words. He pushed the plate away, suddenly feeling nauseous. You ate Flo?" he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. Lizzo smiled, a wide, unsettling grin that sent shivers down Earl's spine. "Every last bite, honey. Now, about that second plate of pie." Earl didn't wait to hear another word. He bolted from the diner, scrambling into his rig and peeling out of that parking lot, leaving a trail of smoke and terror in the wake. He never looked back. Lizzo never saw Earl again. She remained at the I-95 truck stop, a legend whispered in hushed tones amongst the truckers. Some said they could still see Flo's ghost floating around her, a spectral waitress forever doomed to serve pecan pie in the afterlife. Others swore they saw Lizzo growing larger by the day, her body slowly morphing into the shape of a giant pecan pie. And so, the tale of Lizzo, the lot lizard with a taste for obsession, became a cautionary tale told in truck stops across the country. Be careful who you fall in love with, especially when pecan pie is involved. And always, always tip your waitress. You never know what she might be capable of. What's up, Zilla? Why does it keep dying so fast today? 5 rings! Dude, can you fucking believe it? By 1 point today, brother. By 1 point. Hang on. I got to get something to show 5 rings. Hang on. What do you think, 5 rings? It's from the Tokyo series. It is straight from the Tokyo series, brother. What's up, Andy Davis? Thank you, Lisa. Right? Dude, look at that. Tokyo series. Yes, sir. Steph the Contractor. How are you, brother? Thank you, Aramek. All right. How about some Black-Eyed Kid stories? Black-Eyed Kids? Larry Lindman! Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. I appreciate the love. All right. I got some BEK, and I have some fucking flying Dutchman stories. No, I'm just kidding. Larry, what you got any requests tonight? Kakalina, how are you tonight, dear? Sorry I missed you. Oh, Andy Davis is straight punk. I heard when Andy Davis went to jail, he was a BOI. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Andy. Delirium, how are you? How are you feeling tonight? All right, Larry. Well, these black... What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fucking had to. What's up, Jason? How are you, buddy? All right, this one goes out to everybody. I've had a black-eyed child experience. My mom and I were driving home right as Hurricane Sandy was starting. My mom needed to get us home. That is when we saw a boy, maybe 10, and a girl, maybe 7, on the sidewalk. When we got into the car, we passed them off as nothing. This was a strip mall, so maybe their parents worked here. Right before we started the car, they knocked on the window. My mom cracked it open. It was clear she felt the same discomfort I did. They told us they needed to get home for some reason. My mother said no, but before she could drive away, the children started reminding us of the storm and how they had no umbrellas and that they were children. My mom was reaching for the unlock button when I saw the black eyes. Not like a pupil was gone, but like the whole eye was black. I yelled no to my mom. The second I did, she stepped on the gas. We still talk about it to this day. The year was 2012. I was 6 and living in Kingsville, Ontario, Canada. One day I was walking with my dad back home from school, and we saw 2 Asian kids with completely black eyes. Since I hadn't seen anyone with completely black eyes, I stared at them. But then they saw me making eye contact, so they just froze standing on the sidewalk. I told my dad since he never looked at them. He told me the story about the black-eyed kids. I wasn't that scared. That night, I was walking to the bathroom and suddenly slipped and fell hard onto the floor. I thought that I had felt and stepped on some water, but later discovered that the floor was dry. It was weird. I immediately thought back to my earlier sighting of the 2 black-eyed children. I saw an older Asian couple 2 weeks later, but when I saw them, they just looked down. So then they couldn't make eye contact. Maybe that was their real parents. I don't know. This happened in 2000. I was 7, and my small twin brother and sister were 5, and my elder sister was 9. My mom and us 3 kids were sleeping in the big bed, with my sister was gone to watch TV in the neighbor's house. It was nighttime, so my mom just closed the door and didn't lock, thinking that my elder sister would return, but she didn't, and we fell asleep, leaving the door closed but unlocked. So later that night, someone cracked open the door. My mom thought it was my older sister and told her to come in and sleep and lock the door, but no one replied. My mom was half asleep. As she opened her eyes, she saw a small boy who was pale white and slightly bigger with black eyes. It was around 1 a.m. My mom screamed and the neighbors came running to the house. Actually, we were living in a flat style building, so neighbors were just next door. And that boy just vanished right in front of my mom. She told everyone, but nobody believed her, of course. The next night, my neighbor's auntie was outside just to take some fresh air at the night, and that same child came again and started throwing stones at her. She screamed and ran into her house. That day was a holiday, and my dad and her husband were home. So my dad and her husband started chasing the kid. That kid was talking in some other language after chasing for 5 minutes or so, and the kid stopped and started shouting at my uncle and dad and then just vanished in front of them. After that, they returned and got ready to sleep. After an hour, that kid came back and started banging on the door. We were too afraid to open it this time. After some time, he stopped. 3 days after that incident, my dad passed away. I'm 25 now, and we live in Nepal. That incident took place when we used to live in India. I don't know if that thing was supernatural being or what, and I will never forget its face. That's crazy. I was about 12 years old in 2008. I was lying in bed in my parents' room. There's a window over the bed. I hear a whisper, and I look out and see what I heard. I see a little girl around my age. She had long hair and an all-black silhouette, dead dark eyes. We made eye contact. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. Mind you, this is the backwoods of Mississippi. There are no lights outside of our house, but an orange security light about 40 yards to her right. She was just standing in the driveway. I remember waking up the next morning with my head still in the window. She was gone, but I've never forgotten what she looked like. Fuck black-eyed kids. Rakib Fleming? Rakib? I hope I said your name properly. But thank you for joining us, and hi. Sweet. Dude, black-eyed kids are just terrible. And Aramek, thank you for the 10 more. I appreciate you, brother. David, happy birthday to David. Happy birthday to David. Happy birthday to David. Happy birthday to David. You're welcome, Zilla. What's up, Bang? How are you, buddy? How's life? Mammy. $37. I wish I was 37 still. Fuck. I'm going to be 49 in September. Holy shit. I'm so old I piss sand. I firmly believe in wad poisoned. You were poisoned at the hospital? My fiance blamed me for eating it. They always do. That's creepy, Eddie. That's creepy. That reminds me of that black-eyed kid that was standing on that balcony of that little kid's house. Got drunk at an Easter party, watching the NBA playoffs. Nice. That's a great thing about Alzheimer's. I could do a lot like an animal back in the day, Puma Pete. I could do a lot lizard when I was 37. No, I'm just kidding. Where'd it go, Andy? And who is 19, Andy? And why do you miss it? Robert Sharp, how are you? I hope you're feeling better. Well, Andy, you do remember blowing bubbles when you were a kid, right? And Bubbles says hi. That was my Squidward laugh. That sounded like Squidward. Hi. Bubbles. Fucking Bubbles. He still looks for Bubbles to this day. As well as Bubbles still looks for Andy. Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. No, not that what I've nothing that I've ever heard, Eddie. Nope. A werewolf is different than a dogman, also, Eddie. A werewolf has human legs, no tail, short muzzle, dog-like ears, very smart, very strong. 48 and young. I wish I felt young. Today I just feel like fucking ugh. You ever have those days where you just want to fucking... Oh, dude, that would be awesome, Bang. Maybe I will make a Lizzo bobblehead for the fucking merch. I'm trying to think of a song to play on the Hebrew horn. Thank you, Spaghetti Guy. It snowed most of the day here. Holy shit, Sonia. Where do you live? Wait, No, you're not in Australia, but you're in America. Where do you live, if you don't mind me asking? Don't tell me the town. I will make a Lizzo Bob. Albuquerque. It snowed in Albuquerque, New Mexico today? Holy shit. I promised myself I wasn't going to wear this hat, but I just want to collect it. But I'll wear it tonight. I wish Gigi Allen was wearing a Dodgers hat. That would be fucking awesome. Thank you, Erica. Imagine Gigi Allen wearing a Dodgers hat. Peeing on the fucking audience. He like pinches it off and... It's 62 here. No. The breeding program has nothing to do with... It's like I explained in the comment section, Eddie. The breeding program is simply just what it says, breeding. They breed a male and a female dogman or werewolf together, not two separate two separate species, but male dogman, female dogman, and produce them and keep reproducing them. They're not genetically altered in any way. They're not touched in any way. The government has been doing it since 1954, and Bigfoot didn't work out. Tyler, I used to be a Red Sox fan. I used to be a Red Sox fan when I was like, I don't know, 4, 5 maybe. And then I woke up. I've hated the Red Sox since '86. I was 10. I think that's when I stopped liking them too. Thank you. I couldn't read the sheet. No, you're absolutely wrong. Robert Sharp. The breeding program is the breeding program started in 1952 to 2018 when it was ended due to cost. Technically, the breeding program continues in the wild. By the time the breeding program ended in 2019, the facility held approximately 22,680 tagged werewolves. We were both wrong. Sorry, I got to pin this up. I have OCD, and if I don't pin it up, I'm going to fucking look at it and be like, nah. How cool is this? My daughter Abby made that for me. It's the tree of life. Where do werewolves come from? From their mom. From their mom. Yep. Their mom. Not my mom, but their mom. I know, dude. I love that. She's very artistic. Very artistic kid. She did stained glass and shit too. And the dad, you're right, Robert Sharp. Well, technically, this is what my ex-wife and me used to fight about. Well, not fight about, but so when it came to like decisions for the girls, she'd be like, well, they came out of me, so I get to make the decisions about them. And I'm like, no, they came out of me first. So I get to make the decisions about them. It stopped in 2018, David. The United States government was. What's good, Juno? How are you? Tigger is probably fucking harassing the kitten under the floor, under the door. He wants to just, but the little kitten, he was poisoned, David. It's not rumored. He was my great friend. It's rumored. That would be cool. I'll agree with you, Puma Pete. I would love to see the Padres get a ring. To be honest with you, I would honestly like to see that. Fortunately, not working. Supposedly due to budget cuts, but we all know. Tigger with his tongue out. No one knows, Eddie. No one knows that. Victor wasn't a scientist, so he didn't know. The only information he knew about the breeding program is what was told to him and what he learned. He was a hunter, so he knew how to hunt them. Other than that, I don't know. I believe 100% it's still going on. 100%. That's a fucking winning streak right there, Tyler. That is a winning streak. Not that I know of. This deal. Why didn't the program work? It did. It did. It just didn't work for Bigfoot. Per Victor, because they were too intelligent and they didn't want to be cooped up. It's supposedly stopped because of cost in 2018, but I don't think Bigfoot likes to do the deed in front of people. You know, they get nasty. They just don't do it doggy style. They just get nasty. Nasty. Fucking big feet. I was 13 years old in Lake Orion, Michigan, visiting my mom's friend and their kids for the 4th of July. Myself and a friend and their kids were roaming around the city area late at night. We ended up walking down some residential streets. It was really quiet and dead out. Probably 2 a.m. with no cars driving around. Just that really calm, peaceful time at night when hooligans can run wild. Some of the kids wanted to do ding-dong ditch some houses, and I was kind of a straight-edge kid, so I went along with it, even though it made me nervous. We had ding-dong ditch probably 5 houses at this point, and the kids started pressuring me to do it, that it was my turn. Don't be such a PC type of stuff. So they directed me to ring a doorbell of a house we were standing in front of. It was a smaller white house, square shaped with a metal fence around the back for the owner's dog. I walked up and there was no doorbell, so I walked back. They told me just to knock then. So, as someone who didn't want to kill the fun, I went back and knocked to find they had already taken off running. I ran after them and don't know if I believe what they were saying, but even my friend said he saw it. Apparently, there was a face in the window the first time I went up, and the house is notoriously haunted. I was a little spooked and out of breath. We must have run a half a mile. I looked behind me to see if there was anything scary following us, and I saw a figure that I have always described as looking to be made out of water. A humanoid figure is translucent, which makes the background behind them wavy and a defined outline. I figured my mind was playing tricks on me, and I just kept walking, joking around with the others, looking back every so often. And it was following us, and I could see it under the street lamps occasionally. The leader kid that wanted to do Ding Dong Ditch looked to see what I was looking at and exclaimed to his friend, "Do you see that?" and took off running. My friend looked back and took off running, and I was again left running after them. We ran all the way back to his house, probably 3 miles, no sign of it being behind us. But I have never been so shaken and scared in my entire life. I was inconsolable. I was scared for a while. I would see it again and find out that it had been following me this entire time. It's been over 10 years now, and I've never seen anything like it again. But I've never been able to find anything like it. Searched for hours on the internet until just recently when people have been talking about these glimmer men. Good night, pups. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out. Shannon. You do. You do. Handsome Squidward. Deep underground military. exhibits are being built in the prep for what is to come. What's up, Nick? How are you, buddy? They've been building them right along, Drew, since beginning of whenever, to be honest. And that massive FEMA camp that's in Alaska. Not tonight, Savage. I got to think of a good song. I got one. All right, it's Name This Tune. I'm easy like $20 is $20 on a Sunday morning. A little Lionel Richie, Faith No More, Easy. No Queensryche, Silent Lucidity. I got to think of how to play that song, but I will play it. I think Mike Patton sings Easy much better than fucking Lionel Richie. Cops there every night, Johnny. Every night. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like a Sunday morning. Yeah. That's why Aramic's easy with Mothra in his basement. This one is to you, Aramic. This one is to you. Whatever you want to think is okay, but I assure you that the following is true. Some time ago, a friend and I were driving home on a rural road in Tyne and Ware, United Kingdom. It was about 4 a.m. on a misty, cold winter's night. My friend was driving slowly as there was ice and hard snow as we approached a junction. I was in the passenger seat on the left hand of the car, England. From the right of the car, just in front, I saw a winged creature about no more than 1.5 to 2 feet in length. It came flying across the road toward the car. It was white, and it appeared opaque, with a human-like face, wings flapping, actually flying, knees drawn up, and head forward, chattering and pointing ahead, as if it was scolding someone or complaining to itself. Whatever it was, it took no notice of us, and as we drove slowly forward to turn into the junction, it flew directly into the lights in front of the car on the driver's side. There was no sound or sign that we had hit anything. It was simply gone. We did not stop. I looked at my friend. "Did you see that?" I said. He answered, "That winged thing?" And he kept driving. We have spoken about this many times, but never solved the mystery as to what it was and how it was there. Recently, I've looked into the internet and only imagine that it was possibly like a devil-like gargoyle. So, anyway, I believe that's what we saw. I do not believe it was the Mothman, as they are native to America, but I really honestly think it was a gargoyle. Thank you. There we go. There we go. What's up, David? Randall Kennedy, you make us awesome. Oh, I thought you sent it to Aramek. I'm sorry. I'll send it to him after the live. I'm so sorry. I thought you said you were sending it to him. I'll send it to him after the live. I actually commented. I was like, that picture was great. Zilla sent you. Julie, I'm glad that you're here. All right, this one is a creeper. This is creeper. I live in southeast Oklahoma, and this happened during a public land duck hunt nearly 7 years ago. I've been an avid hunter, outdoorsman for a young age, and this is unlike anything I've seen before. I was hunting solo, and none of my buddies were able to join. I had hunted this spot countless times and knew the area very well. It was loaded with duck, so I decided to go alone as acceptable. I arrived at the sloth plenty early, peppered the pond with decoy, brushed in my blind, and sat down roughly 30 minutes before shooting light. The pond stretches 80 yards wide and 200 yards long at the normal water level and is located in a densely wooded creek bottom. The side I was sitting on faced the dense oak trees, which came nearly all the way to my water. My rechargeable headlamp had been slowly dimming throughout the morning, so the battery was losing juice. As I sat in the still, calm darkness, I heard faint footsteps walking from the other side of the pond. It sounded very faint, noises that would be produced by a doe or a stealthy raccoon. I flashed my light across the water and a pair of eyes lit up. The height of the eyes was about 5 feet tall, about a foot taller than the reeds that surrounded the pond. My assumption was that it was a deer. No other wildlife in the area could possibly be that tall. I kept my dimming light beam fixed upon it and remained confident in my assumption that it was a deer. That is, until I saw the eyes move. I've seen deer in headlights a million times. I know how they move, and I know about their careful, meticulous maneuvers and mannerisms. The set of eyes moved to the left, but it did so in a very unique and eerie way. It never diverted its eyes away from me. They were entirely fixed across the pond, never once looked to watch it step over to its shoulder. They felt like they were upon me, not above me or to the side of me, but directly at the source of my light beam. When the eyes moved, they did so in a rhythmic swaying motion. It would sway to the left, sometimes pausing for several seconds, sometimes several minutes, and then sway again. By swaying, I mean its head would move in a vertical position and then back to a horizontal position, finally coming back to a resting position a couple of feet from the last. I'll also note that it never moved in a jarring manner, an unbroken stare and sway with no abrupt movements. I probably watched this thing for 15 minutes. What frightened me the most is that it was slowly rounding the pond in my direction, and my light was almost out. After this thing had made it 30 or so yards, my light sputtered out. I sat extremely still, 12 gauge in hand, and prayed earnestly for the sun to come up. I was horrified and kept my eyes on its last known position. Duck soon came, and I didn't shoot. I was too scared to move for a few minutes. I waited and decided to watch for the thing to move. Once I shot, I unloaded on some cupping ducks and saw nothing fleeing from the scene. No movement. I continued to watch for movement throughout the morning and never once saw or heard anything on the bank or in the woods. This thing had vanished without a trace. I looked for tracks for an hour to no avail. It's not a crazy story, nothing grandiose. Looking back, what I remember from that morning was an overwhelming sense of being alone and an impending sense of dread as that set of eyes slowly moved around the pond, getting closer and closer to me. And in the 10 minutes between my light going out and the first ducks landing, I was petrified in my makeshift blind, trying to keep my breath to a minimum and listening intently for any crunch of the leaves or twigs. However, once my light was gone out, I never heard or saw a thing. I've talked about this experience with many of my outdoor buddies, and nobody could offer any explanation. Many suggested a mountain lion, but I've watched videos and footage of their movements, and it was not that. Have any of you ever heard anything like this? I think crawler. Shaquille Oatmeal! That's a lovely name. I myself like grits. Well, thank you, Randall Kennedy. I appreciate you. I wonder what flavor Shaquille is. Cinnamon spice? Apple? Maple syrup? Thank you, Savage Lunatic. Mint mocha oatmeal would taste like absolute asshole, 59. Imagine. No, maybe it tastes all right. Peaches and cream. Butterscotch. Janie, why don't you crash out? Just keep your phone on next to your head and let us woo you to sleep. There we go. It's getting warm in here. We shall woo Janie to sleep. Woo, woo. Sweet dreams, Janie, are made of these. Who am I? So what you want? But at least they slow down in school zones. Jesus Christ, Aramek. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Aramek. Oh, Jesus. It did grow fast, SDL. It did. I was thinking that the other day. I was like, but my hair was super, super long. I didn't realize how long it was until I saw a live stream the other day from like, I don't know, a year ago. And my bangs were like here. It was weird. My shift starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 3. Thanks, SDL. You're listening to the soothing sounds of Jeff the Dogman Nadolny and Saturday Nightmares live from upstate New York. What's up, Richard Minnick? How are you? We are wooing Jane to sleep. Jane, it's time to go to bed. I don't know if I have bangs. Do I have bangs? I think I have bangs. I don't know. I don't cut my hair. My boy cuts my hair. He's my boy. BOI. All right, here we go. This is a very interesting one. This is about a doppelganger or a protective spirit or just a pervy ghost. This happened a while ago, either December 2020 or January 2021, but I remember what happened clearly since it was bizarre and the only paranormal encounter I personally ever witnessed in the house I live in. It was snowing a lot, and this was around 2 or 3 in the morning. My little sister and I were awake, and we went outside in the backyard to look at the falling snow without informing our parents. They were in their room along with my brother. The whole backyard was covered in snow, and everything was very silent and still apart from the falling snow. After looking and walking in the snow in the backyard for about 10 minutes, me and my sister both heard my name being called loudly by my dad's voice. And we looked and saw a figure standing right from my room's window overlooking us, staring down at us. It looked like my dad's silhouette. We thought we were in trouble since our dad is strict and overprotective. However, both of us did agree that we also get an eerie feeling at the same time since something felt off. We went back into the house and we both went into my room and it was empty. Then my sister went to my parents' room and asked our dad about it. He didn't even know we were outside and that he did not call my name. We also recalled later that the way the silhouette was standing, it would have been impossible for a person to physically stand like that by my window, since there is a bedpost in the way. There were several paranormal events in my house before this happened. The other paranormal events were on the second floor and were reported by a separate Airbnb guests that rented the second floor. One guest complained of hearing threatening disembodied voices, and 2 separate guests complained of seeing an unidentified person in the dark that stood completely still and didn't say a thing to them but watched them from the bottom of the stairs. I think this might have been a shadow person since the guests couldn't describe a face or clothes, saying it was too dark to see. Ever since that last paranormal occurrence I described, I haven't experienced any other paranormal events at all. The second floor isn't rented out for Airbnb anymore because my extended family lives there, and they haven't reported anything out of the ordinary and haven't felt threatened by anything paranormal. My theory is that if something bad were to happen, if we continue to stay here, so a benevolent spirit might have lured us away from danger by making us return inside. I believe that spirits in some households are good spirits and look after the household and do not disturb unless needed. It's worth noting that the activity never happens to us, but to a small percentage of the guests. The spirits might have been angry at the guests for some reason, or thought the guests aren't safe in the household. Then again, it could have simply been a mischievous spirit wanting to play a prank and thought it was hilarious. So I don't think that was because a doppelganger, it's not a doppelganger it'd be a doppelganger if he saw himself yelling out to him. But his dad, it wouldn't be a doppelganger because his dad didn't see it. So maybe I think shadow person. Werewolves don't change either, 59th. Sounds like a shadow person to me. Anushka, how are you? God damn it. I'm fucking sweaty tonight. Whew. Hang on a second. Shadow men are lesser demons. Yeah, I would agree. Excuse me. Delirium is here. What's up, Shauna Rain? How are you? No, werewolf is not a shapeshifter. I got a lot of Dogman experiences in a minute. No, the experiences have been happening way before CERN was even thought of. They're naturally occurring creatures. Dogmen have been spotted by like Christopher Columbus, Alexander the Great, Marco Polo. There's a big write-up that Marco Polo wrote in his diary or journals about a village of dogmen. Yeah, CERN is definitely opening stuff up, but it's not like causing. The experiences have been happening well before CERN. CERN just escalates it a little more. All right. How about some Dogman experiences? Let me find him. Wings, little people, barrel. Okay. All right. This is going to start out with. This occurred in 1977 in Madeira community in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. I was a young teen at the time. We lived in a house in a heavily forested area above Madeira. There were very few residences in our neighborhood. The location was incredibly isolated. My granddad would frequently go on patrols with the local officer who worked for the Game Commission. I bring this up because of his reaction when we had our encounter, which is the reason why I'm sharing this. He was a large man, and it took a lot to shake his confidence. When Granddad would walk outdoors at night with nothing but a pitchfork to frighten away a bear. I'm sharing this. I've shared this before, but there's a reason why I'm sharing it again. Pitchfork to frighten a bear. We would often just shake our heads at him. He was familiar with the local wildlife, understand what their routines were, could predict weather, and so on. On one particular evening, we were awakened by a loud ruckus that took place close to our front porch. We had outdoor cats who liked to hang out on the porch, and if a raccoon or any other animal came near the front of the house, they would run away. The noise they made as they dispersed was rather loud, which is why we were awakened by it. I can still hear my granddad giving one of this signature irritated sighs because he was forced to get up and check out what was going on. We were all listening closely for the sound of the door being closed. Instead, we heard our granddad let out a loud roar. This sent everyone scurrying for the stairs. He was keeping his distance from the entrance while holding his rifle in his hand, and the expression on his face might best be described as fearful. As I've already said, nothing seemed to frighten my granddad, so the sight of that expression on his face caused all of us to stand there feeling unsure. This monster was just outside on the porch, gazing straight back at us, displayed absolutely no fear at all. In fact, I recall having the thought that it looked furious, but upon closer inspection, it merely seemed cruel. It was definitely not a dog, but rather a canine in some sort. It had the appearance of a hyena from the front shoulders all the way to the top of the head, but the rear end was much smaller and the front shoulders and head. I don't think I ever noticed if there was a tail. The fur had an unusual appearance that was patchy and shaggy all throughout. It simply didn't look like fur. It's difficult to describe. The nose was either very long or very narrow, rather. It was short but somewhat large. The whole body was enormous. It was nearly as wide as our porch, from the rear of its head to the front of its body. Taking this into account, it would have been at least 7 feet long. It stood there staring at us, then turned and looked toward our barn and then back at us. After that, it went a few steps very slowly before turning and running away. It happened so quickly that all I could see was a smear of color, and then it was gone. We all stood there for a moment before our mom asked our dad what was our granddad what was going on, at which point our granddad shouted for all of us to hurry up and go upstairs. He didn't even bother to go outside and check on the animals since he remained awake the whole night. Strangely enough, we never brought up the conversation. After that, nobody ever mentioned it again. It was a really special place to live, and I was fortunate enough to spend most of my life there, but I was relieved to leave the area when I became older, since many of the occurrences took place there were puzzling to me and could not be explained. All right, so next encounter. My son had just heard the experience that was just shared in Madera County. I also grew up in Madera. I had never heard of any serious experiences about strange things in the woods, and we were always in the woods. It was truly creepy at night, though. None of us ventured into the woods at night, and it always felt like something was out there watching. We usually didn't go anywhere alone, not even to the neighbor's house. It was kind of an unspoken understanding. I had eventually married and moved to another part of the state, and my sons were grown. My sons also loved Madera and roamed the woods there. We visited often. My youngest son and I had planned to drive up and visit my sister and her family, who still remained in Madera. It's a quiet, beautiful little town where everyone knows everyone, and the neighbors help neighbors. On to our encounter. My son and I were near home when we saw it crossing the road. It was huge. It had a massive dog-like head, and my son swears that it looked like a lion's mane. The shoulders were very large and muscular, and the back end was almost deer-like. It looked like it had dark fur, but darker fur in places that resembled kind of stripes or large spots. It also had a very long tail. My son and I disagree on a few details, but size, head, tail, and black patches we both agree on. Neither of us had ever seen anything like it before or since. We got to the spot where we had seen it, and it was long gone. I swear it had crossed the road in one giant leap and was halfway up the embankment when it hit the ground running. When we got to my dad's sister's house, we told them what we had seen. They didn't believe us. They said it was probably a big dog or a bear. We know what we saw, and we still don't know what it was, but it is something I will never forget. That was 2017. Now we keep our eyes open every time we go back there. If it wasn't a dog man, it had to have been some kind of beast that ran on all fours and quite possibly was bipedal. I often wonder how many other people have seen it. So what I got from that one, and I was thinking about it as I was narrating it. I thought about it earlier, but that hair that was sent to me from Meeker, Colorado, that I had analyzed when I had the fatty tissue and all the meat and shit. The result. Aramilk! What's up, Brian Mons? How are you? So the results was corcata and unknown primate. What is corcata but a hyena? Hyenas obviously aren't dogs, but that hair that I have that's locked in my gun safe is so coarse, it's almost like it resembles and looks like porcupine quills, but so fucking small. So weird. Yes, happy Easter to you, my friend. I did get it in my eye too. My eye fucking bothered me forever. I don't think that was a dire wolf, Patrice. Because dire wolves are actually white because they were Arctic hunters. And that was a really dirty blackish brown in color. I think it was something completely different. but definitely a large kill. Much different than pig hair. A lot different than pig hair. This is like literally like a porcupine. It fucking resembles a porcupine. I don't know if they came from fallen angels, Eddie. No one knows anything about these. This is all theory. Cryptozoology is a pseudoscience, Eddie. It is like, that's why there is no expert. If anyone ever says they are an expert, they're fucking lying to you. But like, this is all theory. We go on. We all have great ideas. Everyone has great ideas on these things. Like, my idea and your idea is, just as valid. Anybody's idea is just as valid. Everybody's theory is, it's all based on first-hand experiences, second-hand experiences, and the very remote chance we get, like physical evidence, which is very rare. There was supposedly, Patrice, a long time ago, I believe there was hyena, prehistoric hyena, and I think they were mountain hyenas native to America at the time, like back in the day. I'm not an expert though. I vaguely recall reading it. What breed of hyena was native to America at one point? Hyena species native to America was the Chasmoporphus, whatever, an extinct species also known as the hunting hyena, lived in North America between 5 million and 1.5 million years ago. It was the only hyena species to ever cross the Bering Land Bridge into America. So who knows? Like, they could have just fucking hid underground. I've read the Book of Enoch many times, Michael, but thank you. A very interesting book. Read the Book of Giants. That's very interesting too. Dude, they say that the short-faced bear was what kept a lot of humans from crossing that land bridge. That's crazy, Sonia, that you just mentioned that, because Morgue just mentioned that book a couple weeks ago. A YouTube channel named Morgue. It was way taller than 8 feet. That thing was fucking massive. How tall was the short-faced bear?
According to University of Iowa Museum of Natural History, this was the largest mammalian land carnivore ever to live in North America, reaching heights of over 11 feet when standing upright.
Can you imagine? You're just like cruising, walking. You got your family in a sleigh behind you. You got some seal meat. You're like, hell yeah, we're going across the land bridge today. And all of a sudden, there's a fucking short-faced bear staring at you like, hi, I'm going to fucking eat you and your whole family right now. Ha ha! Fuck that! I'd be like, here's my family. I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. Is it Solu? Is it Solu? Is that how you say your last name, Michael? I bet you people pronounce it Solo. It looks like Solu. I'll have to look into that, Sonia. Thank you. Don't be a bully, Brian Mons. Don't fucking name shame people. I think it looks like Solu. It is Solo. Okay. He is silent. They are, Shaquille, they are kind of cute. They are cute, but damn, an 11-foot bear? Fuck that, dude. Imagine how big that bear's poop is. Damn. Some big bear dump ass everywhere. Fuck you, Brian. I was thinking that too. I was like, God, fucking Tucker. In early 2019, wait, what time is it? Okay. We're going to do this encounter and then we got a lot lizard story. In early 2019, one of my older cousins and I were standing outside of my house here in Austin, Texas. He was having a ciggy. It was about 9 p.m. and we were pretty much run out of things to do or talk about. I opted for just looking into the night sky and gazing at the Big Dipper for being the only star I could actually technically name or spot. As I'm looking up, I notice a dark silhouette about 10 feet from the top of my house. I live in a 2-story home, so 10 feet from my roof is pretty high up, yet still close enough for me to see. I could vividly see that it was the shape of a human-like flying being from above my home and over across the street and out of sight. It moved smoothly across the sky, not too fast, just a glide. I stared in disbelief, unable to speak. Long after it had vanished behind my neighbor's home, I still looked in its direction, trying to understand what I had just seen. When I finally was able to gather my thoughts enough to talk, I turned to my cousin, who was also looking into the sky, and said, "Let's go inside." He put out his cigarette, and we both walked into the house, sat in silence for about 5 to 10 minutes. The silence was broken by the sound of my cousin taking a deep breath before asking me, "Did you see something flying outside?" Before he could finish, I burst out into a rapid sentence about what I saw. Before I knew it, we were both going back and forth, barely letting either get a word out. We decided that what we saw was real, and it really did happen. That's not the most frightening part, though. Several weeks later, I stumbled across a TV show on Destination America entitled Monsters and Mysteries in America. I believe the episode I watched turned out to be based on sightings in Austin, Texas. I couldn't believe it. The episode was about flying humanoids being spotted here in the city. It confirmed for me that what I saw was actually real, and I hadn't been the only one who had spotted it. I still look into the sky on most nights. I know they are still out there, except the one that Aramek has in his basement. What's up, Stephen Knight? I'm sorry I missed you. How are you tonight, buddy? Good stuff. I'm glad, Stephen. I don't know where Steph is. Steph pops in and pops out. Steph's awesome, though. I gotta fucking respond to his email. I know he emailed me. About the same right now, Janice. About the same. Kind of like it's hard to explain. That like the dementia of it was almost like his infection dementia that he had for that fucking 7 months. Well, actually 5 months because the last 5.5 because the last month and a half was just him getting his body strong enough because it had atrophied. I don't know. It's sketchy. It's sketchy right now. But thank you for asking. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen Knight. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, Sasquatchin. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Claire. I do. Thank you. Anybody from Oklahoma tonight? Oh, wait. No, fuck that. We got lot lizard story. Sorry. All right. I got an Oklahoma experience for right after. All right. Here we go. This is all about Earl. Earl, the Earl of Earls Thompson, a man whose beard was legendary as his fuel economy, pulled his 18-wheeler christened the Wandering Wombat into the Starlight truck stop. He needed coffee, a shower, and maybe a soggy burger. He'd been hauling frozen haggis from Boise to Baltimore for 3 days straight, and his nerves were about as frayed as his favorite flannel shirt. The Starlight had seen better days. The neon sign flickered, casting an unsettling glow on the cracked asphalt. Earl had heard whispers about this place, rumors that made his skin crawl worse than a 5-day-old meatloaf. They said the Starlight was haunted, not by some mournful old lady or disgruntled short order cook. No, this was the domain of Lola. Lola, the lot lizard. Now, Earl wasn't one to judge a woman's profession, but Lola was different. She was said to be breathtakingly beautiful, a siren in denim shorts, and a too-tight tank top, but her beauty was a trap, a lure to draw unsuspecting truckers into the shadowy expanse behind the Starlight. What waited there wasn't a good time, but something far, far worse. Eddie, the flamboyant vampire. Earl chuckled, dismissing it as just another trucker's tale. Vampires, seriously. He'd seen weirder things hauling haggis. Still, a sliver of unease wormed its way into his gut. He grabbed his thermos and headed inside. The bell above the door jingled a discordant tune. The diner was deserted, save for a lone waitress wiping down the counter with a weary sigh. Earl ordered a coffee, extra strong, and tried to ignore the feeling of being watched. He glanced around, but saw nothing out of the ordinary, except for a woman sitting in a darkened booth, bathed in a shadow. Then she stepped into the light. Lola was everything the story said and more. Her crimson lips curved into a seductive smile, and her eyes, the color of molten gold, held a disconcerting glint. She moved into a feline grace, each step a silent invitation. Rough ride, trucker, she purred, her voice like velvet over gravel. Earl, a man who could usually talk his way out of a speeding ticket, with a wink and a tale of woe, found himself speechless. He managed a grunt and clutched his coffee tighter. Come on, honey, Lola crooned, beckoning him with the manicured finger. I know a place where we can go and relax, real quiet, real private, out back. The feeling of unease intensified. He remembered the whispers, the warnings, the shadow behind the starlight. Eddie. Oh, no thanks, ma'am, Earl stammered, backing away. I gotta check my tire pressure. He turned and nearly collided with a figure draped in black velvet. A figure straightened, revealing Eddie. Eddie was a lot. He had perfectly sculptured hair, a complexion as pale as a bleached bone, and an outfit that looked like it had been stolen from the community theater production of Dracula Goes Disco. He sported a fingerless gloves and glittered eyeliner, and of course, the fangs. Darling Lola tells me you are not feeling social, Eddie drawled, his voice dripping with theatrical menace. Such a shame, we have a lot to offer. Earl knew he had to act fast. He remembered something his grandma used to say. Fight fire with fire and vampires with holy water. He'd always thought it was a silly saying. Turns out Grandma knew her shit. Earl bolted from the diner, ignoring Lola's shriek of frustration and Eddie's offended gasp. He sprinted out of the wandering wombat, fumbling in his glove compartment, where he pulled out his secret weapon, the Super Soaker 6000. He bought it on a whim at a garage sale years ago, intended to prank his big buddy Joe. It had remained unused, gathering dust until this very moment. He'd also had the foresight to fill it with holy water. He picked up a whole case of the stuff from a roadside chapel in Oklahoma. Figured it couldn't hurt to have a little divine protection on a long haul. He charged back to the starlight, Super Soaker 6000 held high. Lola and Eddie were waiting for him, standing at the edge of the empty lot, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of hunger and annoyance. Get away from me, you fiends, Earl roared, pumping the Super Soaker. He unleashed a torrent of holy water, drenching Lola and Eddie. The reaction was immediate. Lola screamed, her beautiful face contorted in agony, and steam rose from her skin. Eddie shrieked, clutching his velvet caveat. His perfectly sculpted hair collapsed into a boomf. Curses, Eddie hissed, his low voice crackling and distorted. You will regret this, trucker. They both dissolved into a cloud of black smoke, leaving behind an acidic smell of sulfur and burnt hair. Earl stood there, panting, the Super Soaker 6000 dripping holy water. He'd done it. He'd banished the vampires and a lot lizard. He walked back into the diner. The bell above the door jingled a noticeably more cheerful tune. The waitress looked at him with wide eyes. What was all that commotion, she asked. Earl shrugged. A tired but satisfied smile spread across his face. Just some pesky varmints, he said. Needed a little watering. He finished his coffee, grabbed his soggy burger, and climbed back into the wandering wombat as he pulled out of the Starlight truck stop, and he couldn't help but smile. He faced down vampires, lot lizards, and frozen haggis. Earl, the Earl of Earls Thompson, was ready for anything on the road that could be thrown at him. And he had a feeling deep down that those weren't the last supernatural shenanigans he would see on the road. Aramic's crashing. Good night, Aramic. Have a good night, brother. Love you, but not in a gay way. That means colorful. Just the facts. Nothing but the facts. That was a good one. Hauling frozen haggis. Thank you, George. Appreciate you. All the time, Zilla. I usually have it, but I'm out tonight. And I put a little lime juice in it. Just a little bit of lime juice. I'm a little bit weird. It is a good idea, isn't it, Janice? And thank you. All right. This one is for all my Oklahomians. This is about my native dad, who has had a few supernatural incidents happen to him and the rest of my family in Oklahoma. My dad would frequently encounter little people that were no bigger than a pine cone. They were referred to as minipeds. When he was around 10 years old, he would go fishing in a lake near his childhood home. My granddad would take him sometimes, but when he was at work or getting treatment in Oklahoma City, he would go alone. The thing about the lake and creeks in the area were the mists that would roll in, not too high, only about a foot off the ground, if not less, and would cover most of the area for hours at a time. This particular time he had went out fishing, he got a little closer and closer to the misty edge of the lake. As he approached, he could hear voices. He originally thought it was the wind, but walking further along the path, he realized it was definitely voices. These voices were nothing he could recognize or understand, but definitely dozens of small little voices around him. Feeling a little frightened, he made his way back home where my grandma was. He told her about it, and she just told him everything was fine. Those voices were minipeds. And as long as you didn't bother them, they wouldn't bother you. In fact, if you should get lost at the lake, they could help you get home. Still scared, he didn't go fishing on that day. The next morning, however, he put the voices in the back of his mind and set off to go fishing again. Walking down that same path, he again noticed the mist a foot above the ground and again, small little voices. Keeping in mind what Grandma said about not bothering them, he just kept about his business and made it to the edge of the lake. The voices died down a bit, and he was able to enjoy fishing in peace. He said he had fished for a good couple of hours or so before heading back home, and along the path, he again heard the voices. This time, however, along the misty path, he would see movement to his left and right, as if something small was moving quickly under the mist. He rarely saw a miniped, but a few times he did see them. He said they were human-like with gray or brown skin and only a few inches tall. When he encountered them again as an adult, he was fishing with my uncle on my mom's side. They went fishing pretty often when I was growing up, several times every summer, it seemed. They either went to one of the lakes in Oklahoma Panhandle area or New Mexico. One time they went to the Panhandle. They went to the lake close to the one where he grew up. That was only about 50 or so miles west. They were set to get onto the boat my uncle owned to fish on the lake, but on the way, there was some mist and the sounds of little voices. My dad thought nothing of it, but my uncle was starting to get confused, asking if my dad heard the voices in the wind. He told him not to worry about it, that they were just the minipeds, and if he didn't bother them, they wouldn't bother him. Eventually, it freaked my uncle out too much, and he convinced my dad to go fish at a lake back west in Texas. He didn't see any that time, and I have had yet to see one. I hope to encounter them, though. I mean, if my dad believes they exist even in adulthood, then maybe they do. Anyway, what do you guys think? Thank you for letting me share. Native nonsense or plausible creature yet to be discovered. Definitely not native nonsense. Mike Turner, what's going on? Yes, there are some that can be malevolent or benevolent. Yes, you are right. 100%, Tiffany. Sean, peace back to Iowa. Delirium. Oh my God. No, definitely different, SDL. I just did a story last week on them, actually in the live stream. Fucking fishing with a miniped. That'd be great. T.W. Bickwell, really? No shit, that's crazy. Earl does a lot of rubbing and tugging, Mega. Mikey Turner. Please answer. I don't know what you're talking about, Eddie. I must have missed your question. Nothing as of yet, buddy. Nothing as of yet. Just the lies out of Colorado. Tiffany's a snorter. What's up, Lindsay Joe? How are you tonight? I forgot to say hi to Wiley, too. Wiley, what's up, buddy? Gigi Allen. Gigi Allen is on my shirt. Bed one night and woke up a few miles away at a gas station. Wow, no shit. Sorry, I missed you, buddy. My plans for Easter? I don't know. I really don't know. Probably see my mom, go see my dad. Probably not much. Probably relax. Fucking Zilla. I don't know your question, Eddie. I just said I didn't read your question, so I don't know it. Can you ask it again? That's what I said. Anything in New Orleans? Not tonight. Do you have a question about New Orleans, though, there, Wolf? Is there something that happened that I missed? I camped out there. The question is, does the government use Dogmam DNA to create more of them? Yes, that's how the breeding program works. They don't like genetically create them. They have a male Dogman that the female Dogman, and that's the breeding program. There's a lot of fucking going on in that little cage underground in Virginia. They also, yeah, truth. They use like anything that they can hide, like riverbeds, stream beds, train tracks, roadways, anywhere that they won't be seen. My favorite Gigi Allen song, holy shit. I have not listened to Gigi Allen in like a year. Let me run and get my record. Hang on, I'll tell you in a second. I don't know. I didn't want to run back downstairs. Hang on. No. I should run downstairs, but I don't want to. Hang on. Right now, the only song in my head that's stuck in my head is fucking Bad Brains, Sail On. Hang on. Fuck Fast Die. Fuck Fast Die. But I got this shirt when I got that. There was an album that came out 2 years ago that was some limited Don't You Hate Autocorrect? That was limited edition, like fucking piss-colored vinyl. Piss-colored vinyl. You'll get that, Wiley. And the shirt was like an extra $10. But I haven't been listening to it for a while. I've been listening to a lot of Bad Brains lately. That's why Sail On is stuck in my head. The Wende, yes. I did a story about it the other day. Actually, last live stream I did. No. Last Tuesday. My personal theory of where Dogman comes from. He also used to pee on the audience and puke on them too and jerk off. He was a bad, bad man. His brother still does music though. Dogmen have been here like since time immemorial. Like they have been walking the earth since humans came here. I don't know where they came. My own theory is they've been here. I think there's a dog-headed race that the Sumerians mention, a dog-headed alien race that came to Earth at one point, and that were violent but very intelligent. And supposedly Marco Polo saw this dog-headed race of people, and they used to trade. They used to live up on a hill, if my story is right. They used to live up on this hill, and they would trade with everybody, right? But then humans, as we get greedy, and they had cool shit, and we wanted their cool shit. And eventually we just overwhelmed them with more people and greater numbers and stuff. And supposedly Marco Polo said that they had spoken at one point, and now they don't, I guess. Because what I saw didn't speak. They were just growling and making weird noises. But I believe they were here. You know, I'm not like, I don't know. It's a hard thing to. It's a hard theory to. So this is where, in cryptozoology, where my theories go, I have a hard time with it because of my Roman Catholic background, growing up Roman Catholic. There was a point in my life where I turned my back on being a Roman Catholic and just embraced my Native American heritage. When I stayed up at my cousin's in the reservation in upstate New York for a while. So, but my thing is like, you know, there was a time in history that the Roman Catholic Church said dinosaurs didn't exist at one point, you know? So I don't know, like, where Dogman came from. I think they were here for a long time. If that makes any sense, I don't know. What's up, Jersey? How are you tonight, dear? It's a military base. It's a deep military base. It's located probably right where the CIA's the farm would be, right in that area where the naval base is and everything else. Andy Davis is back, guys. Andy Davis is back. The Banyan Shelter. I'm glad that you're here with us, Flat Earth Patriot. What's up, Rockin' Steady? How are you, buddy? Happy Easter to you, Jersey. Happy Easter to you. Southern Charmer, how are you, dear? Mighty Thor. I changed the 2 chapters of the book, and I changed the intro to it, and I have not heard anything back from the publisher yet. I've emailed them twice as of yet. Speaking of rubbing and tugging, Rockin' Steady's in the house tonight. Just a few. Nothing that I haven't shared. This one is a classic, but it is a goodie. Lake Baikal is located in northeastern Russia in Siberia. It's the deepest lake on Earth. At its depth, it's 1.6 miles. It covers 31,000 square kilometers or 12,500 square miles, approximately the size of the state of Maryland or Belgium. It holds 6,000 cubic miles of water or 23,000 cubic kilometers. It is the largest freshwater lake on Earth, holding 1/5 of the freshwater on the planet. This encounter happened between 7 Soviet-Russian Navy divers, and the humanoids occurred in 1982 while diving during a training exercise in the winter. At the time, there was 5 to 10 meter thick ice sheet at the depth of about 50 meters. Upon entering the water, they soon realized that they were being watched and observed by something approaching them. From a distance were the illuminated creatures. As they approached and got closer, they looked to be humanoid in shape only, but these beings were much larger than humans, at about 10 feet or 3 meters in height, and there were several of them. The Russian divers froze at first, figuratively speaking, as they observed these creatures. They were wearing what looked like skin-tight bodysuits and were shiny silver gray or light bluish in color. Over their heads, they had what looked like a helmet made of a jellyfish or something similar because it seemed to be flexible, but seemed to maintain an unbreakable bubble of air inside of it. There were no oxygen tanks or no pipes or wires, just a skin-tight suit and a jellyfish-like helmet. Clearly, this was technology unknown to man, and it did an admirable job of sustaining these creatures against the cold, enabling them the freedom of movement with no risk of water leaks and plenty of secured oxygen. The Russian divers radioed to the surface, describing what they were encountered. They received an order to try and capture one of these creatures and bring it to the surface, according to the divers. As they moved in unison toward one of the creatures with a net and rope, a wave or sonar frequency explosion occurred, and the 7 Russian divers were thrust upward through the ice into the surface. Because of the rapid ascent, they suffered injuries from the bends and compression sickness, which could have been deadly. It is reported that 3 of the divers did die and the other 4 were saved inside of compression chamber. After remaining in critical condition for several days, they all suffered long-term disabilities as a result of the incident. The accounts of their experience were long held as classified secret of the Soviet Army. The details were later leaked to a Professor Vladimir Asha, a former Soviet naval officer and a known Soviet UFOologist, who first discovered the story in a book titled Russia's USO Secrets. He was told about the incident by a diving trainer named Mark Steinberg and an unnamed former Soviet senior officer in charge of the dive team at the time of the incident. I agree, Puma. I agree. Who's crashing? Good night, 3Cat Mom. STO. Nobody said STO. Erica, it will come. Right now, unfortunately, Teespring is having some issues. And I'm sorry. It's a pain in the ass. I actually ordered a shirt from my friend's Teespring, Sean Atwood, and he's got like this really cool T-shirt of a Bigfoot holding an alien's hand. And I ordered a hoodie and a T-shirt from his Teespring account, and I ordered it in November actually, before my surgery, and I haven't gotten it yet. So I apologize. I'm still waiting for my like 5% pay from them that they've owed me for almost a year. So I really do. I'm thinking about switching merch distributors. I know that Sean is having issues. I know 23andOne is having issues with them. A couple of other YouTube channels are too. So yeah, unfortunately, I apologize. It's fucking bullshit. Yep. And unfortunately, there's only like two or three companies that work with YouTube to do that. And I'm not a big enough channel to where I can do my own. My bee sting's still right there. And Bunker Branding doesn't work with smaller channels unless they have over 100,000 subs. So I was thinking about doing underwears. Sean is awesome. Have you seen my interview with Sean, Jersey Nightcap? I'm on his channel and he's on mine. I love Sean. Sean is a very good guy. He's fucking great. Yeah, it's like I petered hard, right, Pete? I'm right there. It's like near 96,000 and I just stopped. I'm like, hey. Brian Maynard. It's a prison show. I don't watch YouTube channels that talk about cryptids or paranormal. I can't watch them. So I watch other stuff like Sean Atwood, and that channel is one of my favorites. Honestly, I don't know, Eddie. You're asking me questions that I have no, honestly, answer to. Some do and some don't. There's some that have the ability to and some that don't, just like Bigfoot. I'm not sure. 23-1. What's up, guys? It's Ghost. I fucking love him, dude. Death. And I watch Sosa Ghost too. Fucking biker channel. I watch some weird shit. Sosa Ghost. He's came up here. He's been in Lake George. He's fucking an awesome dude too. I wish Victor was still alive, Jersey Nightcap. I would. All right. Last lot lizard story of the night, and then we'll do a couple of other cryptid stories for Easter. Lizzo wasn't your typical Lizzo was not your typical truck stop attraction. Forget the wispy, waif-like figures you saw in cigarette ads. Lizzo was built like a brick shithouse. Well, you get the picture. She was all curves, confidence, and a voice that could curdle diesel. She was also undeniably good at her job. The Double D Diner and Delight truck stop, nestled just outside of Harmony Creek, wasn't exactly a hotbed of high society, but it was a reliable pit stop for the truckers hauling everything from frozen peas to exotic pet supplies. And those truckers, bless their weary hearts, often needed a little stress relief. And that's where Lizzo came in. One sweltering Tuesday night, Lizzo was leaning against a chrome bumper, fanning herself with a tattered copy of Trucker Monthly, when she felt it, a strange tickling sensation at her ankle. She swatted, thinking it was a stray tumbleweed. The tickling persisted, accompanied by a faint, high-pitched giggle. She peered down, and that's when she saw them. Garden gnomes. Not the cute, rosy-cheeked kind of grandma displayed amongst her petunias. These were different. They were squat, leering, and touching things. Specifically, they were attempting to scale the impressive backside of Big Joe, a trucker notorious for his love of chili dogs and general grumpiness. Hey, Lizzo barked, her voice cutting through the hum of idling engines. What do you think you're doing? The gnomes froze, their little ceramic eyes widened. The biggest one, sporting a particularly offensive, pointy red hat and a disturbingly gleeful grin, hopped down and waddled towards Lizzo. We're just admiring the scenery, he squeaked, his little voice like nails on a chalkboard. Such impressive architecture, he winked. Lizzo shuddered. Get out of here, you perverted pot ornaments, she yelled, brandishing her trucker monthly. The gnomes scattered, disappearing into the shadows beneath the parked rigs. Lizzo thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. Over the next few nights, the gnome problem escalated. Truckers complained of phantom butt pinches, unexpected giggles, and the distinct feeling of being watched by beady ceramic eyes. Big Joe, convinced he was going crazy, threatened to quit trucking altogether. Lizzo knew she had to do something. This was bad for business. Nobody wanted to patronize a truck stop haunted by perverted garden gnomes. She consulted Agnes, a resident psychic and waitress at the Double D. Agnes, a woman who smelled perpetually of patchouli and burnt coffee, didn't seem surprised. Gnomes, she declared, swirling her coffee grounds. They're tricksters, drawn to strong energies, and offer things. Lizzo grimaced. Agnes suggested a cleansing ritual involved in sage moonbeams and a recording of Barry Manilow's Copacabana. Lizzo desperately agreed. The ritual was eventful. The sage smoke attracted a swarm of moths. The moonbeams kept getting blocked by passing trucks, and the Manilow record skipped repeatedly, driving everyone within a 5-mile radius insane. It didn't work. The gnomes were still lurking. Lizzo finally decided to take matters into her own considerably large hands. She armed herself with a super soaker filled with industrial-strength disinfectant, a roll of industrial-grade duct tape, and a determined glint in her eye. That night, she waited, and sure enough, under the sickly glow of the truck stop security lights, they emerged. The gnomes, bolder than ever, were attempting to scale the tire of a refrigerated truck, presumably heading for the trucker's assets. All right, you little creeps, Lizzo roared, spraying them with disinfectant. The gnomes shrieked, their paint dissolving slightly. You can't stop us, the gnome leader yelled, his voice gurgling rasp. We crave thee. He trailed off, seeming unable to find a polite way of expressing his perversion. Oh, I think I can, Lizzo said, advancing menacingly. She scooped up a handful of the gnomes and swiftly duct taped them to a hood ornament of a passing 18-wheeler. Enjoy the scenic tour of Topeka, fellas, she yelled as the truck rumbled off into the night. The remaining gnomes, seeing their compadre's fate, scattered like cockroaches in a flood. Lizzo pursued them relentlessly, spraying disinfectant and duct taping them to very inanimate objects, a telephone pole, a trash can, even a particularly grumpy-looking bulldog that happened to be passing through. By sunrise, the truck stop was gnome-free. The truckers, initially confused by the sight of ceramic figures clinging to various objects, were ultimately grateful. Big Joe even bought Lizzo a chili dog. Lizzo, exhausted but triumphant, leaned against the chrome bumper, sipping a well-deserved cup of coffee. The Double D Diner and Delight was safe, at least for now. She knew deep down that the perverted garden gnomes may return, but she also knew that she, Lizzo, the chubby, confident lot lizard, was ready for them. After all, she had industrial-strength disinfectant, a lifetime supply of duct tape, and a whole lot of assets of her own to protect. And frankly, she kind of enjoyed the challenge. It was certainly more exciting than waiting for a long-haul trucker to pull in. Savage, have a good night, buddy. Thank you, Jane. Or Jan. Thank you. That's what Lizzo's got to keep those assets protected, Spaghetti. In 1999 in spring, I was black bear hunting with a buddy. We hunted for spring bear for about 10 years. Most years, we wanted to punch 2 tags each, and we enjoyed sausage from the meat. My favorite is pepperoni and garlic oil. This was a sunny spring afternoon, heading west on the Beaver Bear Road east of Prince George in British Columbia. We see a tall, lanky black bear happily shuffling towards us on the right side of the road. This animal had a beautiful dark chocolate, nearly black, long, shiny, healthy coat of hair, and a white star of hair on its chest. We stopped the vehicle and I got out. I got low and centered the crosshairs on the brisket. It was a perfect head-on shot, at least 30 yards or less. I used a 180 grain, 300 Win Mag round. I saw the impact. The animal both turns to the ditch at the right and rolls into the air, dropping out of sight. We both move in and nothing, no bear. The forest road had an 18-inch or greater berm on the edge and dropped 4 to 5 feet into a marshy area that was heavily covered in prickly low brush, which covered porous ice, about 3 or 4 feet thick. The animal should have been right there in the ditch, dying or dead if it wasn't. Not even a drop of blood, no tracks. There was a very clear view from 100 yards around this spot. We both were experienced enough to know where it should be, but nothing. It was as though this thing evaporated into thin air. I even checked the culvert, but there was an 18-inch pipe that was 2 to 2/3 full of ice. I called back my buddy, who found a tuft of hair in the road. It was unusual hair, and it even had a mix of white hair in it. There was no blood, no tracks. The bear simply vanished. The hair confirmed to me that the shot hit the mark. I had practiced often in those days, including at point blank. It seemed practical to do so. A shot and seemingly dead bear could jump up as you move into close. I had even practiced turning the rifle sideways to sight alongside the barrel for accurate close-up shots. This practice was recommended to me by a friend who was a professional guide for his dad's outfit. The entire event was unusual. The bear did seem oblivious to our approach. It also seemed to be happily shuffling a long leg. If the bear could skip and hop like a kid does, the back of it was easily 4 to 5 feet off the ground. I would like to hear people's response on what this could have been. What did this turn into, an episode of Cheaters? Holy shit. I don't know, John. I honestly don't know. I know the family lived there for after the experience, and they were ridiculed. They were ridiculed terribly too, like terribly. Because they were like, people were calling the family like drug dealers and shit. It was bad. Did he hit her? If he hit her, we'll fuck him up. I'll put a bat in his asshole. We'll go fucking elbow deep. Next at 23-1. Fucking 410. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Shauna. I'm doing mushrooms on Easter. Orphan Andy. Ugh. Fuck, why are my nuts so sweaty tonight? Oh my God, John. That is too vivid right there. Bigfoot pink sock. Woo-wee. On the next Pornhub. I'm Mert. I know. I got to get the powder out. No, there's a record. I had to drop trowel once and get powder before. I didn't drop trowel on camera. Jesus Christ. The last time I tripped was in 2000. I brought in the new year with like 5 hits of acid. They said we were gonna all die on New Year. It was the 2099 to 2000. So I was like, fuck it. Supposedly their lifespan is something like 50 something years. Supposedly. Yep, Y2K. And I was working at Lowe's at the time. Right? Check this shit out. You want to hear how dumb the fucking people are in my town? So I'm working at Lowe's. Y2K is coming. And people are buying electric heaters in case the power grid goes down. Can you fucking imagine that? I was like, for real? This lady came in, atypical soccer mom, before soccer moms were even soccer moms. This girl was like, you could tell this girl was a bar slut at one time before she had kids. So she was definitely a soccer mom. And she came in and said, I need to buy a few electric heaters in case the power grid goes out. My family needs to stay warm. And I'm like, if the power grid goes out, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just sell them to her. We'll sell it to her. I know. I would have loved to have gotten commission on that one. I would have been like, why don't you buy an electric fucking fireplace, lady? Buy 2 of them, maybe 3. Keep your family really warm. I had an encounter last summer while on break at work during the slow part of the night. I live and work in Mitchell County in western North Carolina. This is a county that we have heard about before with experiences. Anyway, on this night, there were no normal night sounds such as crickets or frogs. I also found it strange that all the wildlife seemed to be gone from the area, and this bothered me a bit. I decided to leave some dog food at the edge of the woodline, hoping to entice a particular family of raccoon out so I could at least see that they were okay. I didn't see the gray fox that would hang out in the area. This fox would come within a few feet of me, meander around, and then retreat back into the woods. After walking near the woods with the food, I heard a deep growl come from inside the edge of the woodline. I had never heard an animal growl with such intensity and so deep. I could literally feel the vibration of the growl hit me in the face, the inside of my chest as well. I knew that this was not a bear whose sounds I was familiar with. I dumped the food on the ground with one hard drop, hoping that whatever it was in the woodline would just take off. I backed away with my head down until I reached my truck. My instinct told me to drive away, so I did. I decided to go back an hour later. I was now curious as to what this creature was. I parked in the same place and this time walked to the back of my truck to grab a smoke. While standing there, I observed a dark mass come across the road and disappear into the overgrown open field with wild blackberry bushes and grass. I do have a sharp eye, and I was able to discern some details. I can only describe this creature as some kind of hybrid canine. It was on all 4s, but it did not appear natural. It moved very quick with fluent motions. The gait was weird as well, like the front legs were pulling its body forward. It almost had a human-like movement to it, as if it could stand on its hind legs if need be. The long back was hunched. The snout was very long, but it fit its body. What struck me the most was its ears, which were large and folded back. The legs also had muscle mass to them. The back legs also had muscle mass to them. My background working with dogs told me that this was something very unusual. I just know that it was there 1 minute and gone the next. When daylight came, I drove back down into that location. I looked for tracks, but listened to my gut and did not enter. For several months, I didn't tell anyone about it. I started searching the internet for what I had seen. I wonder if it was some type of hybrid that had escaped. I found several online sites, but none seemed to even be close to what I had seen. Then I came across a picture of a dog man. If you take what I saw and stand it in an upright stance of being on all 4s, that's what I saw without a doubt. It wasn't overly massive, possibly a juvenile. I later spoke with a few of my coworkers. Of course, they told me that it was a bear or a large domesticated dog, but a few of them did acknowledge that the wildlife in the area had been disappearing for a while now. I don't speak about it much because of ridicule, but I do know what I saw, heard, and how my instincts reacted to it. Thank you, Alexis. Oh, all right, last encounter of the night. And then I'll hang for a little bit. A husband and his wife who live in a residential neighborhood in Garland, Texas, described 3 different sightings or encounters with winged humanoid near their home. Between May of 2020 and November of 2020, they stated that the winged humanoid was built similar to Jeepers Creepers. Each sighting was observed from outside of their home. They describe it to be thin, dark-colored humanoid-like body with legs and a large bat-like wings that had a total span of at least 15 feet. The head was not distinct and seemed to be part of the upper body. On one occasion, the winged humanoid flew above them in a short distance, approximately 50 feet or so. They both felt a strange pressure that emanated from the being. They never heard any sounds associated with the winged creature. They did see it flew into the neighbor's tree during one of the sightings, but it totally disappeared. They have not seen it since. When they attempt to tell their friends, family, and neighbors, they were totally rebuffed. There's been mention that they are Hispanic and that many people around them are very superstitious when it comes to the supernatural and unknown creatures. During the same period, they encountered an unexplained series of lights and anomalous one evening. Both of them work late shifts and are home early in the morning. They usually enjoy taking late night walks around their neighborhood. One night, they heard loud, shrill screams coming from down the street. As they were walking in the direction of the sounds at approximately 2 in the morning, they both observed a erratic movement of blue and red orb-like lights in the sky. As they continued to watch the lights, a huge dome of light filled the sky. Then they heard what they describe as mechanical sounds. They never were able to find out what the screams were, but I do believe it was associated with the unusual lights. Damn, I'm tired. Let's get comfortable. There we go. How's the house coming, Sumner? Good? It should be all built right now, like back to normal at least. Well, thank you, Giant Slayer. Appreciate you. Yeah. Fuck yeah. We don't have any quakes up here or fires. We have an occasional earthquake, but nothing major. Thank you, Zilla. They usually try to pick up a lot lizard, Mert. That's what they're saying. Jersey Nightcat, thank you so much, dear. Appreciate that. Damn, I almost zonked out. I am beat. Holy shit. We had an earthquake. Let me see. Hang on a second. We had an earthquake up here. The last earthquake in upstate New York. The last earthquake we had was 3.4 on the Richter scale. But we have a volcano. Upstate New York has a volcano. Did you know that? Ooh, hurricane season is scary. Yep, we have a volcano. Where is the volcano located in New York? Schuylerville. How far is Schuylerville from Glens Falls, New York?
The drive from Glens Falls to Schuylerville is 17.0 miles.
I am 24 miles or 24 minutes from a volcano. Ugh. Yep. Well, thank you, Patrice. It's an inactive volcano, but that's where like there are some seismic like shifts around that area. You had a flying animal that pooped on your vegetables, Orphan Andy? That is terrible. Good night, Erica. Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you there, Wolf. Thank you. All right, guys. Happy Easter. And thank you for spending another great Saturday with me. I appreciate it. Jersey, thank you. And guys, I'll see you next week. Hopefully we can have another freaking awesome live stream. Thank you, SDL. Appreciate it. All right. You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you there, Wolf. I want to eradicate the R and E from your name and just call you the Wolf. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, John. What's up, Eli? Happy Easter, buddy. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for spending another night with me. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, blessed Easter. Even if you don't celebrate Easter, I hope that you at least hang with your family and friends and have a great time, you know. Besides that, don't let your meatloaf and, you know, stay vigilant. Stay happy, healthy, and horny. See ya.